Hello, this is Shinji Amano, and this is my how to draw legs tutorial. I've been drawing legs now for about maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and I'm by no means no leg expert. Okay, I suck at legs. But yeah. Um, so I want to start by showing you some pictures before I go into my little drawing session, because it's important to understand some structures of the leg before we draw it, so we can get a concrete image, know the leg inside and out and all around, so that when we draw legs in different angles, we have, a source from which to draw information. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the leg bones. We have the femur, which if you look at this picture that I put here, you can see how the femur pops out of the hip area. And I'm not going to cover the hip bone at all. I'm just going to skip that for now. But it pops out of the hip bone, and then it's a ball and socket joint. So this little pop that it does right here, that creates a big curve in the structure of the leg. So it's very important to notice that and to take note of that. Then the femur comes down into the knee joint, and the knee joint has this square like form, which is another important thing to note how it forms. And then we have the fibula and the tibia. The tibia is also the fibula is an important bone, because it also creates a sharp curve, and the tibula is the shin bone, with what I'm going to show you later. I'm going to show you how the tibula creates that like the shin bone, and how the shin bone pops up and creates the three-dimensionality in a leg. Okay, now we have a second diagram, which I show you here. And I really like this picture because it really shows you how the muscles are different, how they have certain shades and tones, because they do different jobs and they have different types of texture to them. So that really helps you, get a feel for how the muscles function, and how they react and how they move. So you only need to know 8 muscles when you're generally drawing a leg. If you're heavy on realism, then I guess you need to know more muscles depending on your level of realistic drawing. But most people who generally draw the leg only need to know 8 muscles. The 8 muscles, which are the vastus lateralis, the rectus firmus, and the vastus medialis, which are called the quadricep muscles. Now, and the Satorious muscle. So the Satorious muscle is that big, long, purple muscle that you see coming from the hip and wrapping around the leg. That's very important to note, because that muscle creates a bulge or a sharp edge just before it hits the knee. And illustrators, they illustrate this muscle a lot. So it's very important to note that. If we go to the hip and we see this muscle is called tensor fibrocolateral, whatever. I just call it the tensor muscle. That is that sharp ball and socket joint that's created by the bone that creates that sharp curve. So yeah, note that, it's very important. And then we have the quadricep, which I explained, And well, I'm not gonna go too much into the muscles of the calf. I'm just gonna highlight how the shin bone pops out of here. You can kind of see it coming through the knee muscle, which the knee muscle is called the patella. That's a very important muscle to a very important bone to take note of, because illustrators use the patella a lot as a footnote or as a way to draw the rest of the drawing. Kind of like a centering thing. So what was I gonna say? The calf muscles I'm not gonna go into too much. All you gotta know is that the calf muscle is basically a circle right after the knee, and then it pops, and then it forms a nice little square. It rounds out, and then the foot comes out. The knee bone, just like I showed you in the bone back at the other drawing, has this square shape. So you see how all the muscles are forming down the leg, and then the knee muscle has its own little space where it forms kind of like a square. And a lot of beginner illustrators make the mistake of just connecting the calf and the thighs together, and leaving out how the knee squares out, and it makes the foot look all funny, and and it's not cool. But yeah, for the most part, the most important muscles to know are the quadriceps, which are those 3 or 4 muscles that I just shouted the name out, which is the vastus lateralis, rectus firmus, and vastus medialis, and the Satorious muscle. Those are the most important. Then you kind of have these muscles above the Satorious muscles, which I'm not going to go into because they're not that important. All you got to do is make a sharp curve like you're drawing a belly or something, and then just put a little few lines in there, and then you have those muscles. The tensor muscle is also important to know. So the tensor muscle, the vastus lateralis, the rectus firmus, the vastus medialis, and the tensor muscle are very important. You don't have to know them all by name. Just make note of those quadricep muscles and the tensor muscle, and you're good to go. Okay, in this diagram, onto the next diagram, which is a male model that it has well sculpted legs, and in this diagram we could clearly see the quadricep muscle, highly defined, all 3 muscles plus those extra muscles that I told you about that we don't really draw, and you can just sort of shadow them off in the background and have your quadriceps pop up. Then we have the patella, well-defined patella here, and then the back 4 square bones of the leg that I showed you in the picture, the leg bone, and then we have the knee, and you can clearly see by this well-defined leg, the shin coming down, creating that shadow, and then the calf muscle sticking out on the side, which they're mostly on the back of the leg, but they come around the side and they wrap around the leg. And we have all that you need right here to draw a well-defined leg.